His Excellency Charles Hay, British High Commissioner to Malaysia, Dato' Zainal Islan Zainal Abidin, Chairman, Capital Markets Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the virtual launch of the Malaysian Sustainable Finance Initiative by Capital Markets Malaysia in collaboration with the British High Commission Kuala Lumpur. To kick off the launch, I would like to invite Dato' Zainal Islan Zainal Abidin, Chairman of Capital Markets Malaysia, to provide his opening remarks.
Thank you. His Excellency Charles Hay, British High Commissioner to Malaysia, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to welcome His Excellency and his team to the Securities Commission Malaysia. The building is also home to Capital Markets Malaysia, or CMM, which is an affiliate of the SC. For those who may not be familiar with Capital Markets Malaysia, it has been set up to spearhead both the local and international positioning and profiling of the Malaysian capital market. CMM profiles the competitiveness and attractiveness of the various segments of the capital market to increase participation and enhance opportunities for intermediaries, issuers, and investors. This afternoon, we are here physically for a few of us and virtually for the many stakeholders who are joining us on web platform for the auspicious launch of the Malaysian Sustainable Finance Initiative by Capital Markets Malaysia. Firstly, I would like to extend our deep appreciation to the Government of the UK for its support as a collaborative partner to this initiative through its low carbon energy program. I also wish to thank the financial stakeholder groups that have come forward to support this initiative and are represented as part of the MSFI Steering Committee. It is heartening to see that our financial sector fully recognizes the importance of building a sustainable financing ecosystem. I am also grateful for the presence of all the guests who have taken time to join us this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality of the effects of climate change has made it imperative for us globally to shift towards more sustainable and responsible practices. Towards this end, the Malaysian Sustainable Finance Initiative aims to support efforts of Malaysia's financial sector to further develop multiple financing avenues to fund businesses and projects that are aligned to the sustainability agenda, such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Indeed, Malaysia joins many other nations in intensifying efforts in order to meet the 2030 target for achievement of the SDGs. In realizing the world's sustainable development needs, a significant amount of funding is required. Based on estimates by the UN Conference on Trade and Development, SDGs face global funding needs of around 5 to 7 trillion US dollars per annum between 2015 and 2030. During the same period, the SDGs investment needs in developing countries are around 3.3 trillion to 4.5 trillion US dollars per annum, mainly for basic infrastructure. Due to the enormous funding requirements, public sector financing alone will be insufficient, given the strains it will impose on public finances. As such, the deployment of private sector investments through the capital market will be critical in financing sustainable development needs. This represents opportunities for the capital market to play a crucial role in the transition towards a sustainable economy. For the Malaysian capital market, sustainable and responsible investment, or SRI, has been an important agenda, and the Securities Commission has spearheaded many initiatives since 2014, including the introduction of various product frameworks to facilitate the development of the SRI asset class in the country. The SC is also an active participant in developing sustainable finance initiatives for the capital market on the regional and global front. Under the ASEAN Capital Markets Forum, where the SC co-chairs the Sustainable Finance Working Group with SEC Philippines, initiatives undertaken include the launch of the ASEAN Green Bond Standards in 2017, followed by the ASEAN Social Bond Standards and ASEAN Sustainability Bond Standards in 2018. In March this year, the ACMF launched its roadmap for ASEAN Sustainable Capital Markets. Under the ASEAN Working Committee on Capital Market Development, which the SC and Ministry of Finance Vietnam co-chaired for 2 years up to June 2020, a key deliverable is the development of the report on promoting sustainable finance in ASEAN. Here, I wish to acknowledge the support from the Low Carbon Energy Program in some of the work leading up to the development of that report. The SC also participates in sustainable finance initiatives at the global level via the International Organization of Securities Commissions, or IOSCO. Under the IOSCO's Growth and Emerging Markets Committee, the SC and its counterpart from Argentina jointly led a working group that produced a report on sustainable finance in emerging markets and the role of securities regulators in June 2019. Coming back to Malaysia, to further chart the strategic directions moving forward, the SC released the Sustainable and Responsible Investment Roadmap for the Malaysian Capital Market, or SRI Roadmap, in November last year. The SRI Roadmap identified 20 recommendations over 5 broad strategies to develop a facilitative and vibrant ecosystem for SRI. The strategies and recommendations, which are aimed at positioning Malaysia as a regional SRI center, are being implemented on a phased approach over the next 5 years. Also last year, the SC chaired the government-commissioned Malaysian Green Financing Task Force, which comprised members representing regulators, institutional investors, banks, asset managers, and government agencies involved in the green technology and renewable energy sectors. Work undertaken by the task force became the catalyst for the formation of the Malaysian Sustainable Finance Initiative that we are launching today. One of the 21 recommendations put forth by the task force was to build a centralized green financing center of excellence. The task force findings revealed that given that Malaysia is still at a nascent stage of developing its green financing ecosystem, there is indeed much scope to augment the skills and knowledge of our industry players. As we have seen from experiences of other financial markets that have prioritized green financing, capacity building is crucial for the advancement of a holistic ecosystem to accelerate the capabilities of capital market intermediaries, as well as awareness and knowledge of investors and issuers, as well as other players within the ecosystem. Tasked with the operationalization of this recommendation, Capital Markets Malaysia has also expanded the scope and mandate of the Centre of Excellence to include the social and governance elements of ESG to capture the broader aspects of sustainable finance. In so doing, the launch of the MSFI is also aligned with the SC's SRI roadmap, which recommends the setting up of multi-stakeholder entity to undertake capacity building and create awareness for various SRI stakeholders. The MSFI will provide not only capacity building and awareness across the financial sector, it will also serve as an online repository of knowledge and expertise on new trends and solutions in green and sustainable financing. Before I end, I once again wish to thank the British High Commissioner, His Excellency Charles Hay, for the UK's invaluable role in this initiative through the provision of support for the capacity building programs and knowledge platform to be developed by the MSFI. Ladies and gentlemen, green, social, and sustainable financing are elements of the financial ecosystem that must be developed. Our stakeholders, large and small, must be equipped with the knowledge and understanding of new standards and best practices in order to achieve the sustainability goals in accordance with the Paris Agreement as well as the UN SDGs. It is my hope that through the multi-stakeholder approach, including active involvement by the industry and with the support from international participants, we can accelerate the capacity development of the industry and encourage them to drive greater growth of SRI. I therefore look forward to a productive and sustained, pun intended, relationship between CMM and the British High Commission as well as our financial stakeholder groups, as part of our common commitment towards building a more sustainable future for the economy and society. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dato Islan. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite the British High Commissioner to Malaysia, His Excellency Charles Hayes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Datuk Zainal Islan, Chairman of Capital Markets Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for this virtual but very real launch of the Malaysia Sustainable Finance Initiative. It's been a long road that we've travelled to bring us here today. Capital Markets Malaysia and the British High Commission in Kuala Lumpur started these discussions in early 2019 on establishing a Centre of Excellence for Sustainable Finance through the Malaysian Green Financing Task Force. The UK recognises the important role that the financial sector plays in tackling climate change. The trillions of dollars a year needed to address the SDGs is a huge financing gap, and governments and civil society can't meet these needs alone. So as Datuk Zainal said, we need the financing from the private sector to meet this gap. And this financing is available, given the size, scale, and level of sophistication of the global financial system. With gross world product and global gross private sector financial assets estimated at over $80 trillion and $200 trillion respectively. So promoting sustainable finance is a key priority. And as the host of the United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties, COP26, next November, the UK is galvanizing global efforts to tackle climate change by collaborating with partner countries like Malaysia. The capital market plays an important role in building a sustainable financial ecosystem in Malaysia, and I'm delighted that we're supporting this through the UK government's Prosperity Fund ASEAN Low Carbon Energy Programme. There are still some who want to debate about choosing growth on the one hand or sustainability on the other. But increasingly we know that it's possible to pursue both economic and environmental outcomes at the same time. So drawing some examples from the UK, there are over 460,000 jobs in the UK's low carbon sector and its supply chains, and that's expected to double by 2030. The UK low carbon economy overall is estimated to grow by 11% a year in the years up to 2030, and that could deliver up to £170 billion of export sales of goods and services by 2030. Now, none of that will be possible without investment into the green economy. Financing and investing in low-carbon sectors of the economy has perhaps more potential than any other part of our economy to bring about a greener future. In Malaysia, there are a wide range of sustainable investment opportunities, such as clean technologies, renewable and efficient energy, forest and biodiversity protection. But the ecosystem seems fragmented. Project developers are not able to obtain financing, while banks and investors are not able to find viable projects. And meanwhile, local asset managers seek investment opportunities in green projects abroad, believing that these are less risky and could yield better returns. There's a growing need to provide resources for capacity building and awareness on sustainable finance. There's also a growing demand for expertise from the private sector, governments and regulators, and a need for cross-sector collaboration. And this is the basis of our support for the Malaysia Sustainable Finance Initiative. Through the Prosperity Fund ASEAN Low Carbon Energy Programme, the UK government is committed to support the MSFI in its objective to provide capacity development through workshops, training courses, and an online learning portal to share international lessons and best practice in financing through the lens of environmental, social, and governance factors. Meanwhile, we recognise that the UK too can learn a lot from Malaysia. Malaysia made history by issuing the world's first green sukuk in 2017, with proceeds of 250 million ringgit funding a solar energy project. And Malaysia continues to show leadership in integrating the principles of Islamic and sustainable finance. Financial and capital market players in Malaysia have clear strengths in ethical and social finance. And through the MSFI, it's my hope that we can increase the awareness of green finance as well, and learn from one another and promote opportunities for joint partnerships. The launch of the Malaysia Sustainable Finance Initiative is an important milestone for us, and we look forward to enhancing the UK-Malaysia collaboration on sustainable finance in the coming years. I'm confident that the MSFI will contribute to accelerating flows of private finance into low-carbon sectors in Malaysia. And as we recover from the coronavirus pandemic, we have a huge opportunity together to not just rebuild what went before, but to build back better and build back greener. Thank you very much.
Excellency Charles Hay to present Dato' Islan with a letter of exchange on behalf of the British High Commission, Kuala Lumpur. We would now like to invite Dato' Zainal Islan Zainal Abidin to present His Excellency Charles Hay with a letter of exchange from Capital Markets Malaysia. Thank you, gentlemen. We would like to now invite both gentlemen to remain standing for a photo to commemorate this launch. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to all of you who have tuned in today to witness the launch of the Malaysian Sustainable Finance Initiative. Have a good evening.